Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Nathan Boyd, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Navy is Captain Lisa Batchelor. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria, and RSL Queensland who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid by the peaceful reflection by visitors to the memorial. If you're able, please stand and join singing the national anthem. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him in Poitiers, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea is that this would be a place where family and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved. And here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we'll read the story behind just one of those in the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who gave their lives for us in war and in operation for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths of floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Private William Edgar Wilson. William Wilson was born in 1897 in Camperdown, Victoria, one of 5 children born to Robert and Nancy Wilson. Both of his parents died when he was relatively young, and his elder sister Ethel became his guardian. At the outbreak of war in 1914, he was employed as a letter courier at the Essendon Post Office, having previously worked at the post office at Kerrang. Having served a year in the Citizens' Forces, Wilson was 18 years old when he enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force on the 19th of April 1915. He wrote to his sister Ethel to inform her of his enlistment. "Well, Ethel, I cannot possibly undo what I have already done. I volunteered over a week ago and was passed and accepted. I will get back all right. Don't you worry about that, girlie. It is far better for me to go on my own account than to be forced to go, as they are going to be shortly. Now, bear up and think of things in the right light, and you will see that I am doing everything for the best. I will be down to see you before I go, but for God's sake, be brave, and I will get back all right." Assigned to the 24th Battalion, Private Wilson embarked on the troop ship Euripides in May 1915, destined for overseas service. He arrived on the Gallipoli Peninsula at the end of August 1915 and soon fell ill with dysentery. He was sent to Malta before being sent to England, arriving there in October 1915. After recovering in hospital, he embarked for France in March 1916, but was again taken ill on his arrival at the front. He spent several months recovering at the 26th General Hospital at Etaples before rejoining his unit at the end of July. Wilson's first major action of the war was to take place near the small French village of Pozières. German forces had a distinct advantage around the village, holding the high ground which enabled them to launch devastating attacks on advancing troops. The offensive at Pozières took place over 42 days, with Australian forces making as many as 19 separate attacks against German positions. Australian divisions succeeded in capturing Pozières on the 5th of August, but not without tremendous cost. By the end of the battle, Allied casualties totalled 23,000 men captured, wounded or killed. Private William Wilson was among the wounded. On the final day of the offensive, Wilson was hit by a high explosive shell, which badly wounded him. He was taken by stretcher bearer to a nearby dressing station, where he died of his wounds a day later. He was just 19 years old. The nurse who tended to the young private's wounds wrote to his sister Ethel to console her and detail her brother's final moments. His condition was very serious, and the medical officer gave us no hope of saving him. We did our best for him, but he eventually got worse and died the following afternoon. He was a splendid patient, so good and so brave, and was always thinking he was such a trouble to us. When I said I would write to you, he asked me to send his fondest love to you and told me most specially to tell you not to worry about him. He had done his bit and died quietly and nobly. The end was peace, and after his face after death was so calm and restful. No words of mine could give you the slightest comfort in your great sorrow, but please accept my sincerest sympathy for your brave soldier brother. The Camperdown Chronicle noted the young private's passing, describing him as being of cheerful and bright disposition and a fine example of Australian manhood. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my right, among almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. A photograph of his headstone is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private William Edgar Wilson, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozieres or in the low scrubs of Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. We thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial and wish you all a very good evening.